Heart disease and stroke are the #1 cause of premature death in women in Canada. But 80% of premature heart disease and stroke cases can be prevented. That's where a new risk screening tool comes in, created by the Heart and Stroke. 9 in 10 people in Canada have at least one risk factor for stroke or heart disease. Here to tell us more is Christine Faubert, Vice President of Health Equity and Mission Impact for Heart and Stroke, who helped create the new risk screening tool. Good morning, Christine.
Good morning, Crystal.
This is an exciting conversation. I want to hear more. Tell us about why you created Risk Screen.
Yeah, well, you provided some stats for now. It's quite alarming. A lot of people are impacted by our condition, heart disease and stroke. So we really created this tool, Heart and Stroke created this tool to really enable the public, so anybody in Canada, to really try to understand what are their own risks for heart disease and stroke. And so the tool really helps to identify one's personal risk, but also to support in terms of giving tips or actions they can take to really reduce or manage their risk. So it's a really personalized kind of like approach to understand one's own unique risk.
How do risk factors differ between men and women?
Yeah, great question. So there's a lot of risk factors that are actually the same for men and women, like the typical ones around physical activity, lifestyle related ones like diet or smoking and all of that. But there's also unique risk to women, especially when we think about women's unique life stages with like things like pregnancy or around perimenopause or menopause or after menopause. So some of the risks that are the same as men, sometimes some of them will impact women differently, but there's also these unique risks. As an example, during pregnancy, some women might have gestational diabetes or hypertensive disorders of pregnancy. So that actually increase their lifetime risk of heart disease and stroke in the future. So and same around menopause, we know that there's a drop in estrogen and there's a lot of changes here that happens which used to protect women from heart disease in the future. And so it's important for women to know that these risks are unique to them and then how they can actually reduce them or take steps to prevent them.
Very interesting. How does Risk Screen work?
Yes, so Risk Screen, it's actually an online tool. It can be found on Heart and Stroke's website, so heartandstroke.ca/riskscreen. It's a free tool. It's also quite simple to complete and very fast. It doesn't require anyone to know their specific medical information or specific health information, like one's blood pressure or whatnot. So how it works is that you go through a number of questions. So questions include a variety of risks, so things like lifestyle-related risk, clinical risk, things like previous conditions, family history, and all of that. There's also those risks that are unique to women. So there's a number of questions around those risks. And then at the end, you actually get your personalized risk profile, and then you'll get a report with very useful recommendations and tips on what you can do to learn more about your risk or to manage or reduce them.
Oh, you started to answer my last question. It was like, when you do find out, let's just say you do realize, oh my gosh, I am at risk. What are the next steps after that?
Exactly. So based on the one's risk profile, we'll provide a number of recommendations. Of course, you mentioned, Crystal, at the beginning, there's a lot of the risk can actually be prevented. So things like lifestyle changes. So how important it is, for example, to eat healthy, to try to stay active as much as possible. But also there's risks that cannot be changed, but are really, really critical for people to know. For example, if there's a history of heart disease or stroke in your family, and depending at what age those events or conditions started or happened, that's really important. As I mentioned, for women to understand their unique risk as women is critical as well. So it can guide conversation with your healthcare provider or conversations with your family, and things that are quite simple to do or to try to integrate that make actually a big difference.
Well, this has been very eye-opening. Thank you so much for creating the Risk Screen tool, Christine.
My pleasure. We're really excited at Heart and Stroke. I think it's going to have a huge impact in Canada, and we're excited about seeing people in Canada actually know and understand their risk in the future.
For sure, that's empowerment. And we put a link to the Risk Screen tool on our website. It is from Heart and Stroke, and so that you can check it out right now.
Thank you.